The nights at 8 on Win FM. Get ready for an hour of real talk that will keep you engaged and informed, bringing you insights, the hottest topics of the moment, and perspectives that matter from the runway to the political arena. Real Talk with Lavi covers all. Let's get real. Wednesday nights at 8 on Win FM.
FM 98.9. Radio never sounded like this.
Radio never sounded like this, sounded like this.
98.9 Win FM.
Win FM.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM. Radio station so hot, it's cool.
You don't know you're listening to 98.9.
98.9 Win FM.
On earth, breathe in, yes. So if you're out there breathing with Lavi, just go. Inhale, exhale. Wonderful. St. Kitts and Nevis. A pleasant good evening once again. I am none other than Lavern Davis, and I'm right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. This evening, I going to be joining shortly with none other than Mr. Hans Richards, and he's going to be here to give you guys, give you more information on the 90-day campaign on crime and violence. Yeah, and that's Mr. Hans Richards, and yeah, he's going to basically letting you guys know what he has been doing when it comes to the crime and violence. And of course, if you're out there listening, feel free to call in and ask whatever question you want, because you're not going to have these kind of people here in the studios like that. So when you have the person live and direct in the studios, please utilize it and call in. But first, before we go into our topic this evening when it comes to the 90-day campaign, I got to let you guys know this morning, my day started off very, very good. And what was very interesting to me, I got up as usual early morning, do my exercise, and then I went down to, I believe in local, so I went over there in the industrial site, and I went and I visit the Richardson, where everybody go and have their breakfast and, some nice bush tea. And while I was there, I met a friend, and basically I was able to be in the Newton area very early this morning, and believe it or not, we hear so much things about our local men, our boys, and the young men. Oh, the young men them this, the young men them that, they ain't doing this, they're lazy, and, Kittitian men getting the stigma. But I can tell you guys, I'm here to share some positive light this morning on my experience, because this morning I was able to go up in Newton, and I met a young man by the name of Daji. And he have his business right over there in Newton called Daji Cheats. He do pancakes, sandwiches, chicken. Am I missing something? Apparently they do. I think on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, they do soup, and then, that's a nice cook up, and what really got to me when I went talking to my friend, not realizing it's her grandson that I know as a little boy, and I go in and I was like, oh my goodness, I've never seen, it would remind me of OJ, all men, young men in there, and they're not in there smoking the life out. They're in the kitchen, one frying this, one doing this, literally, it was something beautiful to see. I didn't even know these things happening here in St. Kitts, so I decided I have to start off my evening by basically giving some congratulations and big prop to these young men over there in Newton, and it's Daji Treats, and you can get your breakfast, real, like backyard, mama, papa kind of thing. And as I said, it was very interesting to see how they come together, working as a team. I ain't seen a smoke. It was very, very professional. And they gave me that OJ feel, like I said, condolences to OJ, but OJ was the honest young man that I saw at that time in his house, in his kitchen, make it a business and have his brethren and all of them chip in and make it a business. So for out there in St. Kitts and Nevis, wherever you are, we do have positive things happening down here in St. Kitts from our positive people and from young men. Young men are being businessmen, entrepreneurs. And you could see that he had some proper training, he related, I think, to Moonlight. So Merlin, I hope I'm calling her name right, Merlin is his grandmother. And everybody know Chris Moonlight and all of them. So that's his nephew, Daji Cheats. And like I said, I'm really impressed, and I will be patronizing them again because I believe in supporting locals. I believe in not just supporting locals, but locals who give you that comfortable feel as well. Very professional, no disrespect. I even tell him, I said, boy, you look good, eh? And he smile and he blush, because a lot of us
especially when women give a man a compliment, we always get so sexualized and stuff like that. And it's good to build young men's self-esteem. Let them know that they look good. You should not have to be telling somebody that they look good because of personal or whatever intimacy feeling. You should be able to give someone a good compliment. And I was very, very happy, like I said, and I said, young man, give me a little information because you deserve to get some props here on the Real Talk. And we need more men of his kind, and I hope that in time with the support, because sometimes they start off in the home and they want to grow, but these are ways that we can encourage our young men to start being utilizing the kitchen, being domestic inclined, because what we're seeing here in St. Kitts, believe it or not, if you check what is happening here in the cooking and food industry, is a lot of men now taking over, and a lot of the men are not local men. The majority of them are from the regional side. I don't really want to stigmatize anybody, and then we're seeing people of different race and culture. And you go in some of these businesses, you don't even see a female in there, it's all men. So I was very impressed to see when I see my native people, and young men. These men are under 30 years old. So they're actually in the range of my daughter. And I was very, very impressed because some of them went to school with my daughter. And I'm happy to see that parents are embracing their children for whatever talent that they bring. We must stop pressure children and telling children that what they're supposed to become. Remember, if you ain't got the baker, you can't eat. It makes sense? If you don't have the cook, you can't eat. If you don't have a personal trainer, you don't understand how to do the exercise, because a lot of people exercising and we don't understand. So it's good to know that we are getting, young men are utilizing these things. Back in the days, it used to be the Rastafarian, and they go and they cook. And I'm just so happy, as I said, to pick up Daji treats over there in the town, big up yourself. And he had, like I said, his friends. And I was just so happy to see that they're in there working as a team. And I get first-class service. Yeah. So St. Kitts, you're ready. You're ready. The young men is a different generation coming. We kind of underestimating them, but these guys, they're in tune in what's going on. But nevertheless, it is 12 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. And it's a beautiful Wednesday evening. The weather looked great. Yeah, the atmosphere is nice down here. So if you're just in tune, please tell a friend, tell them all. Yeah, tell them all that the Real Talk, it's a show for the grassroots. It's a show that is non-political. We try to bring what is happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. In particular, St. Kitts, I'm very sorry, but this is where I'm from. So I try to focus around the communities, things that are happening, and I try to bring current topic, things that people can relate to. But this evening, like I said, we have Mr. Hans Richards. He's in the studio with me. Good evening to you, Mr. Hans.
Good evening, Lavi. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Nice.
How was your day?
Pretty quiet.
Pretty quiet?
Yes,
nice.
And actually, I just returned from Sadler's, where they're having one of the community engagements, which is part of the 90-day campaign, which you spoke about earlier this evening. So that's what I was.
So, Hans, okay, you say you just came from Sadler's?
Yes.
So what engagement they have over there?
So it's basically, like I said, a 90-day campaign for crime and violence from a public health point of view. It's just basically sensitizing and getting some feedback from the community. It's not to say that after the 90 days, that's the end of the program, no. That's just the beginning of so we're laying the foundation and doing the groundwork so that after 90 days, we could go back to the drawing board and start preparing policies and programs, et cetera, based on the community necessity that we would have encountered during these community outreach and community engagements.
Okay, so tell the people, who is Hans? How did you get to be a part of this 90-day? Like, what is your role?
Okay, so basically, I'm a soldier and I am also studying a PhD in public health. And so amalgamating both profession, the Prime Minister would have approached me and told me that this is the intention that he's having, this is his dream, this is his vision, and he would like me to be a part of the task force. And from there I became a member, and I've been going ever since because I think it's a very important approach. Like I was saying in Salas earlier, we're looking at, in the past, we were focusing on the law enforcement, the law, the punitive actions, the imprisonment, the beatings, whatever. From a law enforcement point of view, the arrests. And we recognize that today, if you look at the 20 plus years that we have in this situation, there's very little that was done because the numbers continue to increase. And so we needed to take a different approach. And the Prime Minister, as a medical medical practitioner, decided that he would look at it from a different angle. And in consultation with the CARICOM heads, they all decided that the approach should be now public health. And it's not new. It's something that's happening, but it's never done in the CARICOM, mainly only in Trinidad and Tobago. But it's a new approach to crime fighting.
All right. So it's 90 days. So how many days are you guys in? A month, 2 months?
We're about close to 2 months, yeah.
So you have roughly like another month?
Another month, yeah.
Before I allow you to go further into, of course, what you're supposed to present tonight, how do you see the public is responding? Because I know you said that you guys are in the neighborhoods, the communities, right? Do you think that, because it's a crime and violence is a public health matter,
Yes.
do you think that the message of the 90-day campaign is basically reaching the majority of St. Kitts and Nevis?
So, because it's a new dimension, a new paradigm, it's going to take a while for them to understand the intention, the objective. So it's up to us. And like I said, the 90-day campaign is just to basically, like you would say in the old time days, wet your lips, basically. And then as the programs and the policies start rolling out, then the public will get a better understanding of the intentions behind the previous community consultation that we would have had for the 90 days. So the 90 days, like I say, is just sensitization. As people start speaking and opening, my responsibility, your responsibility, and the others who go on, and Ebony and those guys who do media, and they just keep feeding the information to the public, and hopefully the public would buy in. And it's like during COVID-19, because it's similar, and it took time for persons to understand, but every day we would say the professionals, the persons from the Ministry of Health and CDC who continue to educate us about what COVID-19 was, the consequences, how we prevent it, how we deal with it, and it's similar pattern. The only thing is, respectfully, sorry for cutting you off, but the only thing is I wanted to get this message across. I know in previous presentation, I would have said it's similar to COVID-19, but one of the major difference, even though both of them are infectious diseases, the main difference between COVID-19 is that we're looking for herd immunity, and that's in a fast pace. Like we wanted it to be solved very quickly. However, on the backdrop of crime and violence, that's not possible. It needs time. It takes time. It takes a lot of work. And because it's an all-community approach, there's no herd immunity in this context. So for COVID-19, yes, we wanted herd immunity as quick as possible. So we introduced vaccine, social distancing. Whereas in crime and violence, from a public health point of view, public health standpoint, there's no herd immunity. It's over a period of time. Then we will see results annually after annually. And obviously, we evaluate and we reapproach. We evaluate, we reapproach.
Right. And Sina, you mentioned COVID, because when COVID came on, every household know about COVID. So do you think the public is getting to understand and get the message? Because, you speak to a lot of people, and some people don't even know what is going on. I don't even see any banner or people really, I actually heard someone was going around and...
Yes. The PA system, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, sometimes when you hear it and you hear the voice behind it, sometimes it sounds like a campaign, like a political campaign.
Gotcha.
And this is Real Talk with Lavi, and sometimes I'm right there and person will say these things. And if you're not really listening to them. Or let's suppose if you're not a kitchen and you're not really listening or whatever, you're not really understanding to know even well what are they talking about, So the 90-day campaign is something very, very good, and I'm so happy that you come here, and I hope that the listening public that is out there listening will be able to share the message as well if somebody is hearing it, because this is how it's going to get out. But I also think that if one more month left in this 90-day challenge, I think that it's time that the organization need to make a big effort to make sure, the same way you go after when you're campaigning for politics, you see what is happening on the mainstream out there with America elections. They're actually going in the barber shops. They're going out to the people. So sometimes when we're having things in communities, you have to know that if we just targeting the same sort of people, what other ways can you go out and reach people to make sure that they're getting the message of what the Prime Minister, this is a passion for him, and he really put a lot into it. So I feel that as a community affair, when it comes to Real Talk with Lavi, I think this is a great option that you guys need to dive into it a little bit more, not just going by community centers. You have to go there, yes, but you don't want to miss out an opportunity of other persons who would not be in those community engagement. What do you think about that?
No, you're correct. So, like I said, this is being on social media, being on Freedom, Win FM, and other social media. These are the ways in which we are promoting or sensitizing the community during the community engagement. The guy on the PA system, and it's understandable that people would have a bit of doubt. And that is fine, that is obvious, and that is expected. Now, in our responsibility on the contrary is to educate.
Absolutely.
Because we're trying to prevent. All right, so we will continue to educate as often as is possible. It may not be as frequently as persons are expecting, but eventually we'll get to that point, and that's why the community engagements are important, because people will give their overview of what they are thinking, how they think that the message is coming across. If we are advertising enough, if enough persons are showing out, what is the cause why people are not showing up to the engagements. And like you said, we do it in church. I remember it was I don't think he's necessarily a part of the task force, but at Antioch Baptist Church, I think Dr. The officer guy, the police officer, Dr. I remember his name eventually, Doc, I apologize. But he was here also sensitizing. So I know that I know that persons will continue to reach out in different social groups, churches, scouting groups, law enforcement, because even though you're a police officer, you still need to be sensitized on your role, how you connect the dots between law enforcement and public health. Obviously, there's no separation, they're both intertwined, so everybody needs to be sensitized.
Right, and that is very good, right? But what I'm seeing here, and this has been happening all along, this is a perfect opportunity for the 90-day campaign, right? For crime and violence. Yes. You go to the church, you go to the communities. But what I am not hearing, you got to go to the people sometimes, because some of these people don't go to the church, right? And I feel that, and I'm hoping that persons out there listening, listen to the people, not just what Lavi is saying. This is coming from the people. You have to get on out there, go to the barber shops, go to the beauty salons. You got to go to the bars.
So what I realized also, I think it was
you got to go to the
last
people.
week. I think they were actually. I think it was in St. Peter's. I'm not certain of the location, but I know they would have done.
And also, when you're doing these kind of things, you have to get people that are personable, people that are people's people. You just can't take up people and just put people there to go to certain people, because they're not going to listen to them, right? So this is a great chance, because it is said a public health issue. So you need people that can actually love people and be able to engage in people about these things.
That's
and
correct.
I feel like the 90-day challenge, I know it's a baby step, it's something that you're just introducing, yes. But not because you're just introducing something, you got to get it right. We should not always incent kids and saying, well, they just start. if you just start, get your things together and get people interested, you know what I mean? Interested. You just can't get up. And I'm
So-
speaking in general what people out there are saying, right? Because too often we see great ideas come up. You guys put in a lot of work into this, right? And I feel like with the lot of work, with what the Prime Minister have been doing, by even setting the pace, because this actually, once we get a good feel of it and execute it, we can be the trendsetter for the Caribbean
Pretty much.
to follow this.
So what it is again, the 90-day campaign is important, and respectfully to the listening audience and everybody else who would listen later on in the week. I mean, you said that that we just start, but the thing is, because it's a new paradigm, a new dimension. It is that is unfortunately it is expected, because first, people not necessarily don't know what is public health, and they think maybe it's medicine. It's not necessarily medicine. So let me say that quickly. Like, so public health. So you have three aspects. You have science, which is research for the truth, and then you take the truth of the science, and then you look at medicine. Now, medicine use that truth to treat an individual. So that's why you have your personal doctor and your personal physician. And then for public health is where you use the science, the truth, to treat everybody. And that's where everybody now comes in. So we can't expect, I expect people not to understand what public health is. And it's our responsibility for them to understand why crime, what does crime have to do with public health? And so there are three important aspects that we need to know and understand why we're looking at it from crime and violence from a public health standpoint. So prevalence basically is the number of murders that we would have had in the past. All right, so we recognize that, like former Minister of National Security, Honorable Dwight Astafan would have said that it's about 3 generations that we're having this issue. And so we recognize that the prevalence are high. However, there's a concept that the conditions can be prevented, and that's one of the objectives of the 90-day campaign. How can we prevent crime and violence from reoccurring with the rate in which it would have occurred in the past and even 2024? And the other thing is the rapid increase in incidents. Now, incidents would be like new murders, new cases. All right, how fast is it occurring? In 2024, I think we're probably between 20 to 25. I'm not too certain of the number, so I have to give a range. And with that in mind, the rapid increase of incidents, it comes with a cost and a burden. It's very expensive, and the amount of wheels, a number of persons who are involved during this. For example, we have a shooting right now. The government is spending almost over $500,000 in a simple murder case, a simple shooting, because there's so many wheels have to be turned: ambulance, doctor, surgeon, the surgery staff, based on the severity of the shooting and the number of persons, the number of casualties that would have been involved. So it's very expensive. So cost and burden also make this issue a public health issue. And then how capable is the issue going to affect the population? Obviously, it's affecting everyone, because that's a topic for a number of years. Every minute, 20-something murders, 30-something murders. So it's affecting the public from a number of areas: psychologically, financially, emotionally, even to education. All right, so now that we have seen this is how it's affecting the public, we look at it now, okay, it's a public health issue because it has the demarcation of a public health issue. So it's no longer police or soldier or Ministry of Justice problem. It's now everybody's problem, because it has demonstrated itself that it's a public health, it has the characteristic to be seen as a public health problem.
Good.
So I'm hoping that as I continue, and like I said, if there are any questions, this is something that is going to be ongoing on Freedom and Win FM, as many social media platforms as possible. It's my responsibility and other person's responsibility to get that message across.
And I'm going to say this again. With all these great ideas, we cannot just rely on the radio, social media. You got to do groundwork, and groundwork, sometimes the best way to get information out is word of mouth.
Definitely.
So there's a lot of hard work putting into this here, But I also feel that in all the hard work, you have to make sure that it is reaching the people, and especially people that we need to make sure that it reach. Because a lot of these people, you have a lot of people don't be on social media. It have a lot of people don't listen to radio. So there's another way that I would hope that your team.
So remember I said, sorry for cutting off. Remember I said, guys, 90 days is just like building a foundation. It is far from the reality of what would happen. So again, we're just getting sensitizing, familiarizing the public with what is happening, because maybe from January thereabout, the groundwork is the real building is going to be built, if that makes sense. So we're going to go out, like you said, individual. We're going to start hitting individual spaces, whether it's like you said, barbershop, bars, etc., etc. You just need to have the manpower to be able to do that. So the 90-day is specifically, it is important that we understand again, it is not the end. After 90 days is not the end, it's just the start. So one
Mr.
second.
Richards, don't you think that in the 90 days, because first impression matter, right? And I feel that for the 90 days, all of this should have been incorporated. And it's not too late to get it incorporated.
Definitely.
It's not too late, because at the end of the day, if you look at it, for every community, in the afternoons, you have persons like playing sports, they're going to the football, and if it's one thing I must say, I hope I can say it, but I'm not going to call the name, but there's a particular religious group, right? And I grew up seeing these people knocking on every single door. Sometimes they come and they're knocking on your door and say, oh Lord, then people are coming again. And eventually they knock and they knock. And then sometimes, I start talking to them, and then you look, they've gone to the church. So we have to find other ways than just feel like we can, sit behind like what we're doing here. We have to add. And at the end of the day, you got to go to the people, and it's a campaign regardless, right? And in order to make people want to warm up to it and be, excited about it as well.
Yeah, it is important that, like I said, it is important that, remember I said earlier in the conversation that during COVID-19, we were looking for quick fixes, or we call herd immunity. In this case, because it's a new dimension, we have to take our time. Fortunately, it is important that time is taken, because you don't want, it's not something that you could rush into, or then we go back to square one. We go back to the police and the soldiers. So I want us to understand that we're going to take our time in this process, take time, because we want to get it right. We may not get everything right, but as much as possible, so that we could start seeing reduction in the number of murders. So it's not necessary that we want 90 days and we try to get everything done within the 90 days. No. The 90 days is just to get the foundation dug out, and you put the foundation, and then you get ready to build it. The house.
Correct. And as I said, the 90 days foundationally, as you said, everything ain't going to happen overnight. But it also have something named listening to the people, than always going and have something laid out to tell the people this is how it's supposed to be. Because in order to get something right, you have to be able to present it and have people there that to ask back questions. Find out how people are feeling as well. Because we can present something and it sounds perfect to us. But at the end of the day, it's a public health issue, and we need all hands on deck to get their feedbacks and stuff like that. So, and this is why I feel that for the 90 day, we're into 2 months, and there's a lot of people really they don't know nothing about it. They hear, some of them hear about it, but they're not really seeing enough about it. So we, in doing something like this, we got to be careful that we're not playing a political game at it, because at the end of the day, it's not supposed to be political. And I am saying this, not because I'm saying this, a lot of persons out there are feeling that they're left out, because it's a great idea, they're hearing about it, but it's only one set of people. And some of the faces that you're seeing is persons that are affiliated to a particular political group, and it's just one political group, basically.
So, like I said, as we continue to get information, and you say, like, I have to say that because it's important. The community outreach, I was at Sadler's, I was at St. Peter's, and there are persons who the questions are asked, the ideas that are passed. Those are, like I said, those are a start. And persons, obviously, we're looking at you have two things are important. They look at the host and the agent, all right, and you have to be careful about stigmatization, all right, and so persons who are at risk, our family would have suffered a casualty in a shooting, or lost a loved one in a shooting, or their family was responsible for the shooting. They might not want to show up to the 90-day campaign community outreach at this point, because they feel like, oh, you know me from the community, so if I show up, you're going to say, oh, but is you shoot my cousin, is you shoot my uncle, is this. So those are things that comes out during the community campaign. Now, if those persons who are at risk and the children who are at risk are not showing up to the community outreach and the community sensitization, then that is a good thing for us, because we know now that when we go out again to the community, this is how we're going to approach. So we're going to go like a census. We go and we knock on your personal door, like the Jehovah's Witness, like those people, when to start knocking on your door. But we can't just say like, okay, everybody show up, and we have to be careful, because people are going to be picking on people. So they're just being, I know that persons who want to reach out and who want to speak because of certain circumstances that they might find themselves in, whether they are the victim or family of an accused, they prefer to stay away from the community outreach so then our responsibility is recognizing who is present, and for if you're from a group, if not from a group, and then we know, well, the at-risk persons and their families still not showing up. So now we go to the at-risk persons. So again, it's not something that could happen as simple as today, tomorrow.
I feel that we need to stop looking for excuses, and I'm just speaking. I'm not really going against what you're saying. I'm just here keeping a conversation, and it's real talk, and being open-minded, and actually recognize that there's a lot of things with some great talk, and it just go down, and a lot of it is because it's not reaching who it's supposed to reach, right? And I get what you're saying, that of course you can be speaking certain things to people, but then we know that there's certain situation, people not just going to go and speak it. At the end of the day, I always believe in, when it comes to something new like this, it all based on listening to the people. We have to actually hear what the people have to say as well.
Okay, I'm happy you said this, because if we look at like I said, looking at the community outreach, we have a number of persons that have to be, we have to engage. We have to engage the family counselors, the psychologists, the school counselors, and all of those persons. Those persons also would have a good idea of who the at-risk youths and family might be or are. And then they would inform, then we would go with a strategy. Because it's like you want to change something and you go like, every year, police, lots of boots on the ground, and the murder rates keep increasing. So we have to change the strategy. So we don't want to go and approach everybody the same. You have to be strategic in how you approach certain persons who would have suffered the backlash of the crime and violence. Like I said, whether they're a victim or a family of an accused. And so those persons are the ones that I know are very important to this cause. And they are not somebody who's going to show up to one of the community outreach. So we're going to go for them. How are we going? We can't go for them just knock on the door ABC. You have to have the proper questionnaire that they understand, the proper questioning, the proper persons who are sociable, so persons maybe from their community or persons who may not be from their community. Approach is important, but you have to be careful with how you approach these persons, because they are suffering psychologically. And it's important that we send the right persons to meet with them.
Absolutely. But I am going to speak for the silence. From listening to what you're saying, it's more sound as if like you guys are catering, just hear me out, for at-risk people. But I would think that if the 90-day campaign or challenge for crime and violence, I feel that it should not just be for a particular people because they're at risk. To me, it's supposed to be an awareness. So persons, every single person is supposed to know whether you're not violent, whether you're whatever situation that you're in. We should not be just focusing on at-risk people, because before you become at risk, you might, if you had the knowledge, it could prevent you from being at risk. So I would like to see, maybe you can, as I said, we need to listen to the people. And I'm going to share something, for instance. I was working with Paul Mitchell School, and I had to do this course by basically having the basic knowledge to prevent crime, to see persons that are in situation that probably could be a risk to themselves, right? So we have to be very careful that we're not just thinking at risk people that who are going to go and kill somebody or commit a crime, but basically look at persons that are going through ordinary people. You don't know are going to hit you tomorrow. Persons that are going through like crisis or depression. Sometimes you don't even know that you're going through these things. There's a lot of persons right now, men in particular, everybody, but men in particular, there's a number of persons that I know. 5 people on my hand are facing cancer, right? And you hear some people, oh, they're shut down, they're not the same. So we have to be careful. This is something very good that the Prime Minister come out with. But I would like the Prime Minister and his team, his office, or who all are on top of this team, to not just come out all the time, going to different stations and just presenting what you have to bring to them. You need to have an open discussion and hear how people can come together, because when I went working at Paul Mitchell School, like I said, right, the teaching and knowledge and the education that I had was something to help me that I can help somebody else. And the reason why I'm saying this, they look at persons that have a large variety of channel of people, 247, underground people, right? So by me doing that class, if somebody come into my salon, and trust me, when they come to the hairdressing place, barbershop, people speak. People will come and tell me about their husband, their wives, their children, deep stuff they will tell you. They will even tell you that they're going to kill themselves. So by being educated to that level, instead of me keeping a conversation, I will basically be knowledge enough to already get the phone number, get certain information, and I direct it to the police. I would not engage further with that person, so somebody can go and knock on the door. So we got to be careful that when we just come in with the 90-day challenge, it's something very good. But I feel by listening to other persons and persons that you think that don't have any degree, listen to people out there who are engaging in people on a regular basis, because they come out in the community. You ain't gonna find, sorry to say it like this, but you ain't gonna find a doctor and a lawyer coming to you hands and telling you how they feel like that. You understand? Believe it or not, it's the same people that we say at risk. But before they come at risk, right, these are ways that we can prevent. And I hope whoever is out there listening, because when it comes to Lavi with Real Talk, this is not something where persons can just come and present these kind of things. I don't have a problem with whoever doing these things. But they should also be aware, if they want the public to be involved, is to find ways that can reach the people. And this is where the programs come like this, is to, okay, we did this, but let's go back to the drawing board. Because we're not really reaching the massive. Otherwise, it's going to just come back as a political with whoever is in government. That is how it's going to be, and you're going to miss out on persons that are maybe not affiliated with a particular government, and innocent people too, right? Innocent people. I have people that will say, Lavi, I'll listen to your show, you know. I don't want to call in, you know, but, you know, I sure you are. I'm not a radio person. How would I know that if they don't meet me on the street and say that? Point. You understand what I'm saying? So what you're doing there, Hans, I mean, is very, very good. And I hope that with the 1 month left, this is time for improvement and listening to the people, as I said. Get people in the community who can reach the people, not just government workers.
So the thing is, based on what you're saying, most of the persons who are engaged in the community are organized. Most of the community engagements are organized by locals of each community. And so they organize when are the best day of the week, what is the best time they think most of the persons will return from home, so they can go to the program. And like I said, it's ongoing. So I don't want persons to lose hope. I don't want persons to get frustrated that, or they're saying they're doing this and nobody understands. It's a new paradigm, it's a new idea, it's a new approach, so it's going to take time to be understood.
But Mr. Richard, that's the whole thing. I hearing you say that you don't want persons to say whatever, but that's the people right to say that, because evidently if it's not reaching them, so which mean apart from, and I don't just mean this particular program, But a lot of things that is happening here, our local, I find, we are always the one to be patient, right? Give them a chance. Give the persons who are coming out and implementing these things and us and want us to be a part of it. We must be patient. But impatience comes with listening as well.
Point.
And patience also comes with getting people that are patient enough to listen and want to not just take the photo apps them, like you go to these things and you take photo apps and you put it up on social media. People are laughing after a lot of individuals because they don't feel connected.
Okay, so let's look at COVID-19, all right? Sorry, remember during COVID-19, you and I and most other persons were not familiar with COVID-19. But it was not the right of the CDC at the time they could not bring information that they were not privy to, because it was also new to them. So they were waiting on feeder information from the World Organization, WHO, and the other, but specifically WHO. So when WHO shared the information with them, they would then impart it to us. It's the same thing. So once we got the information, then we could impart. We can impart something that we don't know. So I can't tell you how many persons would be at a community outreach session in Sadlers or in Gateway if I don't go and find out how much. And then the persons would say, well, maybe if we do it this way, maybe if we advertise more, maybe if we put it more on social media, then we might get more persons. So the next time we go to those areas, then we use their ideas to get more persons to participate in the community outreach. So it's a building block. Respectfully, I understand what you're saying, but this is so sensitive because, again, we're dealing with crime and violence, and it's something that could spill out of control, and we have to try and keep it as
you want me to tell
as
you
positive as possible so that we could get the persons to understand that this, for example, the at-risk persons are not the only persons we're targeting, but at-risk means the persons who would have lived, seen, and experienced violence, and all you're waiting on is revenge. So we're trying to find out how we could prevent those persons from retaliating. You have to start somewhere. So I'm not necessarily saying that we don't look at the doctors, because we look at everybody. So you have persons who are targeting different communities. Not community doesn't mean your demographics, like your location where you live. It means like professionals. So we're looking at persons in soldiers, police, doctors. We are also looking at them and how can we reach out to them for whatever they're going through.
You know how they can reach out to them. And as I said, when you guys are having programs like this, you all need to write down, take notes, and do not underestimate the people. Because how are you going to reach these people? I feel that we need to stop stigmatize people in terms of like who we think is at risk from who ain't at risk, because we have a lot of people that look normal and they're not normal. So if persons are educated, right? So do you guys have like pamphlets or other stuff? You have like pamphlets?
When I said at risk,
no, give me a second, Hans.
No, I think there was
what you all have besides just being at the radio, so persons would know, like, have anything like on hands that person can read?
They have Facebook, and there's a Facebook page, there's an Instagram page that they share information with. So
the majority of Sankis people is not on social media, so you guys won't have, when these people go, like as I said, a particular religious group, when they go out, they come to you and they have a leaflet or something.
But right? I want us to know, right, Lavi, that over time they would have come up with these. It's not like when these religious group would have started from the get-go onset. Is after over a period of time, persons would say, they would recognize that if I can't get you this way, then I could push a pamphlet under your door. So all those things will come out again. The 90-day campaign is just basically educating us as the task force on what is the next step. Because we can't just go and we can't sell something that we don't understand what we are selling. So we need to know what people are feeding back, what people feel, how people think that what's causing this crime, what's causing why the youths are like this, the youths say why they're like this. We get the information. And again, remember those religious groups are hundreds of years old and we are pretty young. So we comparing ourselves.
I don't see that as an excuse anyway.
It's not necessarily.
I don't see that as an excuse.
It's not necessarily excuse, but it's important that you need to build your information and your foundation.
I don't see that as an excuse where just the religious groups they've been more established and whatever. I feel that, as I said, it's a 90-day challenge. It is something very good, But this is a chance to listen to the people and basically not just come up and feel, well, this is how it is. Because if we're just going to, as I said, focus on at-risk people, then to me that is not just a public health matter, because public having all different kind of people.
Okay, so
it should be in the household, and every household with that 90-day should have already know about this.
Yeah, but I'm saying with the at-risk, I don't want us to lose focus on what at-risk is. So again, a infectious disease have three things. You have a host, you have a agent, and you have a means of transmission. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do is cut transmission. How could we diffuse transmission? Transmission of the violence spreading. All right. So we have to cut the spread of cut transmission, reduce the spread. All right. And so you have to target something. Something is causing the problem. All right. So we can't. We're not saying that we are negating other members of society. No, like I said, we are engaging everyone, but you have to target someone, because someone is doing it and someone is engaged to do it. Someone is reached out to by somebody else to commit crime. So we are trying to cut that transmission so that can be reduced. And once we start doing that, then we look at the others, because again, traumatically, a doctor every day, the police, soldiers, they have to deal with this crime and violence. It affects them. But they are not the ones committing the crime. So we cannot approach them the same way we approach those who witness and are waiting to take revenge. And so everything has to be, we have to take our time, we have to approach it with respect, with caution, because again, if we don't do it the correct way, eventually it would, as we say in St. Kitts lingo, it would flop. Correct. And this is not allowed. We can't allow it to flop, because this is the correct approach. I know it's the correct approach because the numbers speak for themselves. I believe in data. The numbers speak for themselves. We are way past the epidemic level of crime and violence, and so we have to take this approach. If we continue with the police and soldier approach and law enforcement, the Department of Justice approach, we're going to end up in the same dilemma. So this is the correct approach. But patience has to be a virtue in this case. You have to have patience. Because again, a simple thing go wrong, and then it turns out that it is political, it is this, it is that, and the reality is public health cannot be political. Public health is not allowed to be political, because you have a number of different political parties.
It is 8:51. You're live on Real Talk with Lavi. If you're just in tune, I am here in the studio with Mr. Hans Richards, and he's here to talk about the 90-day campaign on crime and violence, and he's basically sharing information as to what this crime and violence, the intention of what they're hoping to bring here to St. Kitts and Nevis, the awareness, and making sure that, as I said, it's a baby step. They just start. But for when it comes to Lavi on the Real Talk, this baby step, you're looking at, this is coming from government. We're supposed to start on a professional level. And the excuse like, well, we just start. I don't want to hear that. You're either going to have your paperwork and a strategy out, and make sure that you have the right set of people on this team that can bring the information out, and who is going to be able to connect with persons who we think at high risk.
Point. I understand. Again, so we have to take baby steps, unfortunately. I would have to keep saying that, because it's the reality of the situation. The reality is...
the person... and I'm speaking in general, so if we have to be saying baby step all the time, which means persons who are out there doing crime, they're going to say, well, they're in a gang. I have to take baby steps to get out. So I feel, as I said, if you're presenting something, it is something new, we need to make sure that we get every household in St. Kitts to understand what the Prime Minister is doing to help fight crime and violence in St. Kitts and Nevis. I am just here, if you notice, I'm actually giving some ideas. Some of the ideas, that's why I said people need to listen. It's not just coming from Lavi. I represent the streets. And I say this proudly, because it's not everything on the street is bad. These are the same people that we want to come back and relate to us as a public, to help fight these things. It's a teamwork. One person cannot do it. And it's going to affect any government in office.
Point.
So this is something very, very good. Many people, because I've been to some of the communities as well, I'm a part of the crime and violence team as a community affairs. I went to St. Peter's with Miss Collins, and they actually received us very well. There was the elderly group. And one of the things that always comes up when it comes to anything to do with children and crime and where does it start, they said the home. So I would think, and I'm hoping, I don't know if we already do it, and if it's not there, it needs to have parents involved. And if you're going to have, maybe invite the parents, not just on the radio, but go to the communities and make sure all parents come out. Who don't come, that's a matter for them. But just going and targeting just the groups in the communities and stuff like that, I recognize it's something new, but St. Kitts is small. St. Kitts is small, and if we're going to be in groups and teams and we can't listen to other people and the idea, this is where it's going to drop short. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Richards, we very well know we can come up with all the brilliant ideas, but it's who is going to really receive it, and who the facilitators are persons that are out there on this team. How credible are they, right? And how influential are they to have people that want to listen to them?
Well, it doesn't matter in anywhere in the world, Lavi. You're going to have persons involved in an organization that somebody probably don't like, and we know that's a regular narrative. But we have to.
Well, I wasn't speaking about I wasn't speaking about no likes and those kind of things. I'm just talking about getting the information.
Yes,
out.
but I'm saying if you might say, oh, I'm not in favor of this person, I'm not in favor of that person. It's going to organizations.
Okay,
are
whether
like
in
that,
favor of somebody or not, we just can't have people who don't like people. So if you're going to have this kind of thing to come out, you must have a balance to make sure that you have persons like you have like front runner, and no matter what, Hans, we can dance around the situation. No matter what, in anything that we do, we have front runners. We have persons that are going to be to the back who could push people. We have some people that can go down to the inner cities that can reach them, and you have some people know that they're not supposed to be down there, but they still want to go. You know what I mean? So I'm just speaking in general. So what I'm saying, don't think that I'm challenging you in any way, because in order for this thing to work, because the public, it's a hard place to please the public.
But you're strengthening the idea. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
In that, if you don't take time, then we are going to end in situations that you're referring to. So again, persons are not going to be in favor of some persons. Persons going to have petitions were very objective, which is all right. So, however, we can't look at it. We have to look at it from the most positive standpoint that we can look at it from. So we're looking at it as reaching everyone, but we can't go at everyone at the same time. You must be strategic. Strategy is important. Plan properly so that the execution can give you as much as you plan. It's not saying that we're going 100%, but the planning, at least we plan, so you know you're going to get reward. Because I can't say, I'm going to do a PhD, for example, and I didn't make a plan. I have to make a plan to succeed. So you must have your plan. And what we're doing, like I said, the 90-day campaign is part of the plan. And every time you make a plan, you have to evaluate and reevaluate based on the results that you get. And so as we continue to get results, we find different ways to approach. Different persons will be engaged, whether they're the ones on the streets, whether they're the ones in the barbershop, whether they're the ones in social media, whether they're the ones in church. We would figure out from the results who we should approach next and what intention or what role would we want them to play. We would want you to walk around and go to doors. We would want you to go into the houses. We would want you to go to the different shops. Again, we have to plan. And again, eventually persons will buy in and understand. It is not something that can be done right now. I know it's crime and violence. It took time for us to get here, so it's not going to take a day for us to move away from here. It's going to take time. Because it's like I said, Lavi is almost 3 generations. So 3 generations into 90 days, there's no comparison.
I feel that saying it is small, and for this 90 day, people should have been able to know more about this. And I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, like I said, St. Kitts and Nevis is very small, and we should they should have been getting more people interested and people like feel like, yeah, I know about this. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know about it at all.
Like I said,
and then you're speaking about social media. There's a lot of people not on social media because at the end of the day, before social media came along, what we used to do?
Go to the highways and the byways, which we are doing at this time, which you said you were part of with the elderly. So the first time we went to St. Peter's, I remember clearly we were dealing with some youngsters. I think it was about 12 to 15 of them who just would have returned from practicing football. And then you dealt with the elderly. That's two groups. So and later on we deal with those between the elderly and the youngsters. So we are reaching people. And then next we look at, okay, what did we miss? Who was not present? Because we have to take notes, like I said.
Let me read this from someone in social media, and this is coming from someone that is on the ground. He said, he just given an idea. In order to deal with crime and violence, you need people who was in it to help end it. This is just what somebody is saying. And that's true, because at the end of the day, we need all hands on deck. And this is why, this is just my humble way of saying, giving, and my experience as well. With all the great ideas, this is a different world, and we have to get a different approach to get certain information out, because sometimes you cannot bring things to flow at the people. You got to be able to want people to listen and receive what you're bringing. And when I said what, I don't mean hands, because remember, this come from the Prime Minister. And if I know the Prime Minister very well, he would be happy to hear all of this, because no matter what, no man is an island, right? And when you want to deal with crime and violence, like I said, it comes from the home. And I know there's a number of constituencies, Ms. Collins, and who else? Who are the people that are going out there to the public to give the information
Persons
out?
from the task force,
Yes.
persons from Elevate, like you said. Those are the ones, Elevate. Remember, Elevate was the former peace group, peace program, which is now Elevate. So persons from Elevate are also part of the group. And persons from Elevate were also speaking to that end in the same Antioch Baptist Church. It was Dr. MacArthur.
You know what would have been interested for me? I think that you guys should have executed. I kept saying you guys, and I'm not going to apologize for you guys, because it's something, a part of me. That normally everybody say that is nothing. And I'm saying this because sometimes we look at petty things that is really not important, right? I think that some of those town hall meeting or community centers, it will have been a great opportunity. You have Model Cop, I'm just drawing a reference, right? That if you had persons out there that can have something live, just like you have Sugar Bowl and different people that go there direct, and it's going direct to the people, you are able to know what is happening. So like you went to Sadler's. Nobody gonna know anything unless SKNIS come and take whatever and put on the page, right? So to get the whole public involved, it would have been nice if you have somebody go there, media or whatever, that and just can relate to the people. Because when I went 2 weeks ago up St. Peter's, the elderly, they was responding, and I did with my little phone, taking my little videos, and they all was giving very, very good information. But where nobody hear these things. They're just between there with just me and Miss Collins and the elders. So this was gonna be some really good feedback if you had not necessarily the media, but a live what you call that. I feel like they should have had a person that would have been able to hear these people the way they were acting, because it was good information, and I'm sure where you was in Sadler's had good information too. So the reason why I'm saying that it's time to not maybe come out. I hear you say that it's baby step, but in order to get it big and let people know what is happening, because the public need to know what's happening. And when we was at St. Peter's, the elderly, like I said, they start from 62 years up. And a lot of them had so much knowledge to give back and share. And these are person that would not normally talk. And they wasn't hiding. So I know if it was there, other persons who will have been outside that was not in that meeting, they will have been able to hear all these good things and even what Miss Collins is doing. And even what you're doing. And it should not be, and I'm just saying this, it should not revolve around the ministers or the government or the prime minister. It should revolve around the people. So if you get more people involved, like I said, with what we're doing, if, say, like I'm just saying Model Cup again, persons could have got there, even we'll talk with Lavi, get us in there, and when with y'all having these things and whatever, and, then you put it to the public like to hear these things. But half the time, nobody know what's happening.
Yeah, so the public, this guy, the public announcer, he goes around and give the information on the time and the place of the community meetings, and persons turn out. Like I said, persons will be a bit tentative at the onset, but as the news continue to spread in many different ways, some that you are aware of, some that you may not be aware of. But the news is spreading. Don't be misled. The news is spreading, and the news will continue to spread over time because it's send kits. And so what happens is we have to, those who are taking the lead role, we have to continue to be as professional as we can. We have to continue to follow the script because, again, you don't want, let me be specific. Public health is about, everything is about data. So there's no running away from data. And we have to maintain the fact that data is important, so we have to collect information. So if we have town hall here, town hall there, that is important, but we have to collect data on how to go about engaging persons because it's a sensitive issue. So you don't want to just go out, jump out, have this, and then there's no preparation for that. So you have to prepare so that you could collect information. And how do you collect information? Through the 90-day campaign. Find out as much information as you can. So when you approach the communities, you approach them, one, firstly, with respect and sensitivity. Two, you have to be careful because you don't want to stigmatize people. So you have to know how to approach certain individuals. And all this came from the plan of the 90-day campaign. So it's going, like I say, repeat again. Over time, your ideas are brilliant. Persons will have brilliant ideas, but I'm asking the public to understand that this is something long term. And as I was giving, I
wanted you to say, Hans, and I wanted you, and if it's not you, anybody. I kept telling you stuff, and I sharing what people are saying, the public, instead of just basically like telling people what to do. I wanted you to say that we are listening to the people. I'm taking notes. We have to let the people know that it's not about us.
But Hans. that's what the community outreach are about.
We have to listen to the people. But somebody is asking, what's the target and results of this 90-day plan? Do you know that?
So
you want to answer
first, before I respond to that, you were saying, so what it is when you have the community outreach, the community persons give their ideas, give their suggestion, why you think this is happening, why you think the community is like what it is. They are the ones who give you the information. Sometimes questions would be asked, what do they think is a root cause, what do they think? And then sometimes they would give you questions, and you respond to their questions. And we keep a track of their responses to the questions that we are asked and they are asked. So both ends, we keep data of the responses. All right, so the question was, what is the expected outcome? I like that the outcome again is information. Where are we at with the 90-day campaign? Where are we at as a community where crime and violence is concerned? What are the people saying? What they think would be the best way to fight crime and violence? What they think is the best approach? And using that data again, we make plans. We do policies, we do outreach programs, continue to educate persons, and the changes would come. Again, the 90-day is very, very important. We get information and we start from the information. But if we don't know, because again, we could just use police and soldiers and continue to do what they do, and the results will continue to be the same or even worse. So we want to know what people are saying. So you collect what people are saying and find policies, because a lot of the situations that crime and violence find itself in, it's from an environment of bad policy. So we don't want to jump out and create bad policies, continue to create bad policies, and then the situation becomes more and more dire. So it is important to know what people are saying, gather the information, and make policies based and programs based on the suggestions of the community.
Clayton Massive is saying, this is just something that Clayton is saying. Clayton Massive Thomas is saying, to end the crime violence in St. Kitts, I have the master plan, but that was overlooked. I'm sure a lot of people have master plan, but Clayton definitely, I guess he had the master plan. You heard him. This person is saying, if you don't put things in the media that's making them look good, they don't want it up, as if people can't tell them when they're wrong. What are they really doing? Massive is saying, one day I'll release it to the general public. Release it now, Massive. This is the topic for it. So whatever you have, it will be good for you to release it. Someone else is saying, if they did invite social media influencers, people would know what's up. Give the poor media platform little jobs. Lord, man. Got a point. Right? He got a point. And as I said, folks, I got to let you guys know that Mr. Richards is here. We're just having a conversation. Some of the questions I will ask him is not directed like I'm having a confrontation with him. We're just here having a discussion, and these are things, and we'll talk with Lavi with what people are saying. And I absolutely agree with that person that said that if they invite social media influencers, because just by saying go on social media and on the page, do you know the social media page for the crime and violence?
Yeah, it's Citizen Security, I think it's at Facebook.
Right, so it's a Citizen Security at Facebook, right? Yeah. So it's on Facebook. And as someone was saying, if you're going to go on Facebook and this is you start in baby steps, why not utilize the local influencers that's on social media that can share it on their platform as well, and it will reach people, because at the end of the day, every single one of us can influence somebody, because you and I would be here, and you know, if you're in a classroom, right, the teacher says something and you're in here, and another student will explain and you understand fully. So we should not underestimate the people out there that we consider to be high risk, because at the end of the day, the persons that can reach them, right? Mm-hmm. And all I'm simply saying is a great idea with what the Prime Minister comes up with, but at the end of the day, there are other things that as they continue to do this here, it cannot just be in your hand like this. In other words, what I'm trying to say, you need persons outside the box, and as you can see what persons are saying here, the social media influencers, this is a great time to bring them. Don't watch no face with nobody, especially if they bring respect. When they're having these things, invite them, because this is how they're going to get content. They just can't come in, as I said, with just the government media, or choose selective media to go on. It is time that government, I don't care what party it is, if you want to get something with a great idea, it must have all hands on deck. And even if they don't want to be on deck, the majority will speak.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, crime and violence affect all of us hands. Every single one of us. And sometimes we feel that when it hit home, but apart from maybe if it happened to my family or my friend, think it is small. When you hear these things, it's somebody friend or somebody neighbor or somebody, you know?
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes the size could work for you and it could work against you.
Exactly.
And the size could be working against you if you don't take time and work on the direction in which we want to go at. Mm-hmm. Again, everybody have their ideas, and everybody's ideas would be heard. But again, you still have to take time and organize yourself, prepare yourself properly, make the correct plans, get the proper policies involved, so that when you approach everyone and everyone gets, okay, for example, let's say we use a regular social media platform that everybody's used to. What are they going to speak about? We have to give them the information, but we can't give them the information if we don't have it.
Right, but that's not what the person, correct, but that's not, from my understanding with this person, it's not like they're just taking information. What they're basically saying, they're coming there as influencers, right? So with what they're coming there, and the same thing that will be on the Secretariat page is the same thing, because they now will be able to share the page. So it's all about networking, and that's where networking comes in.
And that's where I come in. So I'm sensitizing them, so they're getting a first an idea of what is expected of them when they are engaged to use their social media pages. So when they give the information, they have the correct information and not skeptic or assume. It is a science, and you can't assume in this case. You have to have the data to give them the correct information.
And I understand with that part, with certain things that you will want to give them, but I am just saying, right, that I feel that we live in a democracy place, and maybe I own way. I just feel that we feel like we're in school in St. Kitts from political leaders, and we should not be in the school from persons that are in certain position, especially if you're not doing a crime. You know what I mean? We should be able to be free and open. We should not be afraid of what we're saying, because somebody gonna take away our phone, somebody gonna tell us we're supposed to say this and we ain't supposed to say that. But at the end of the day, they're doing the same thing. What they're saying don't do, they're doing the same thing. So I am just saying, when it comes to the public, as I said, it can be a sensitized thing, but if you treat people the right way, it would not be sensitized. It will be something that the public will want to receive. It's the way how we treat people, they treat you back. You treat them with kindness, they give you back kindness. This person is saying, let me read what he said. And I have to read it because these are people that have been there. You know, so I have to read what Mr. Chisel D. Glasgow. He said, you know, when you see the glasses, the shades, you know what time it is. So he's saying, they are too controlling. And that's my point. I feel like a lot of things that are coming from our small islands, the way how we speak to one another, especially our dark skin to dark skin, hence now have nothing to do with you, right? This is real talk. I believe our people, it is time that we become free, emancipated from mental slavery. A lot of things that are coming out and introduced into us, some of them are great ideas. But some of is the way they are delivering to the people is a controlling way. And the young people don't want to hear that. And we're losing our people. So we're losing our people because they don't want to hear from certain people, because they seem like they're being, as I said, like you're controlling their mind, and they don't want to do that in 2024. This person is saying they are too controlling. Crime going on since how long? No. And you all still don't get it. Keep it real with the ghetto youths. Really empower them. Check in on them to see how they're doing. What's the problem? Be a part of the communities. Go into play with the kids. Sit on the block and talk to the boys and girls like you are their friends. That's what one person said. This other person said, Lavi, it can only be done one way. Don't tell me about everyone got no plan. I vex. I vex with you, you know. I got the plan, case closed. All right, Clayton. Only you one got the idea, you know, I love you, right? So and that's another thing. Everybody wants to say that they're the one that have this plan and they have this. But I definitely know Massive have a very good plan that laid out. Right? But at the end of the day, everybody wants to know that they was the one that did this. I strongly believe until St. Kitts get a team kind of spirit and take out the I, right? And again, I know Mr. Massive, Clayton Thomas, Clayton know the streets. A lot of the people that they consider at high risk, some of them are very intelligent people. And I know Clayton can reach a lot of them.
So, in piggyback on what the real talk guy is saying, if I was not here doing a sensitization program about public health, and we have to remember, it is a science one, but if I was not speaking about it, then his idea is coming, and that is all the reason for the 90-day campaign. Sensitizing the community and the public so that they can give their feedback to us, so that we can collect the data and approach based on their responses. So having conversation like this on Freedom and on different media houses, persons can call in, persons can give their information like that, and we listen to them, we take note, and we go from there. But if we don't do it, if we just come and go out and do this and do that without proper planning, if I was not sensitizing the community, he would not be able to say that, and that's a very good point. So I'm saying if we keep doing this, we will get the points, get the information, and we keep the information, and then we approach based on policies. Again, most of the problem that we have with crime and violence from a worldwide standpoint is based on poor policy. And poor policies, proper policies is not something that you jump into. It's something that takes time, and you need to get the right information so that in the long run, it does not affect us. So these are important feedback that those persons are giving so that we could see where we're going based on what they're saying. And everybody has a voice. Everybody has because you could call in, you could write. Those are voices. You don't have to be literal speaking. You could, like he wrote, he didn't speak. And he wrote something very important. So that's a message that could send. Those are very good ideas.
And can I tell you this here? And this come back to my point. Do you know this young man that wrote this? He only write this because Lavi is on, and he realized that Lavi can reach him. And he come back to the same point that some of these things that some people will be writing, they write it because of certain people they can relate to. And this is why it is very important to be, we got to be careful that we're not excluding people and have people of inclusion eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that is how we're supposed to be, people of inclusion.
Include everyone,
and also, as much as this program and the team just come up, a lot of people are new to it too. And this is why I said that we cannot just come and want to implement things on people and just think that people can gravitate to it. Because it's the same people at high risk. Some of those people are not. No. They're not going to listen.
I beg to differ. I don't think that things are. I think what would be implemented will be based on the data we see from the community outreach and information given to us, like from the young man just now. So I don't think there is nothing that will be put on anyone. I think the responses from persons is what would be used to create policies.
All right.
And that is the idea behind the whole information.
I am going to say this again. When you say crime and violence is a public health issue, you use the word public, then you need to get the public involved. You understand? Because a lot of people that is on the team, it is new to them. Mm-hmm. And we got to face it, Hans. This is something new to a lot of them that is on this team. Every single one. So we can't go on as if like you know everything. And as Massive Thomas said, he said he vexed with me, but I'm gonna make it up with him. He wants to make sure that he said that he have the remedy. So I tell him to send it here, right? But just, but he know what to do.
He would have his voice. Obviously, like I say, he would have his voice when there's
he been having his voice. And what he said, he's been having his voice. He already, and this is something that he knows what he's speaking about, right? So Massive knows exactly what he's speaking about, that he already sent and did all whatever, and they ignore it totally. Totally. And this is a native from St. Kitts and Nevis. This is someone that live overseas and have a lot of experience, and they totally ignore him.
So again, I am here. Remember, my responsibility and the responsibility of the task force is to get information for the 90 days to sensitize the public about the new approach that is taken by the administration, so that persons could see that. Because again, we have to go back to the over 30 years of suffering.
Someone is saying, this is an influencer, he's saying, I don't think they're doing it right. They also said they should have town hall meeting every week until they do the entire country. That's how you reach a community. We can't ignore these people. And all I'm going to say, right, and I'm speaking on behalf of Lavi on the Real Talk, when these kind of comments are coming in, we on the task force need to listen to them and assure them that we're thankful for their contribution, and we're going to work on it. We just can't be saying, well, we're going to be doing this and we're going to do this and this going to we cannot use the word we when we're not being exclusive of the public. The we that we're using is the we team than actually for the public. And I know you're in a situation, you come here, I don't want to compromise you, but at the end of the day, we should not feel uneasy. And I, for sure, Lavern Gumbs, I am for the people, I am for a community. I am for St. Kitts and Nevis. I am self-made. And I am telling, and I'm going to say this right now, Lavern Gumbs and many other persons are very strong and influential in St. Kitts in the communities. Anybody asking me to go to the communities, and I am a community. I am a part of the community affairs. So which means persons and the team are missing out on the people that can get the message across to the public.
The reality is, Lavi.
I speak my reality, and I speak my truth.
The reality is,
thank you.
Someone has to take the lead in the new paradigm, and persons who are taking the lead are the one with the information on how to go about this dimension. And so
nobody can take the lead if they're not listening to the public. And I'm just saying what we did here today. I think that maybe persons out there will think that you're gonna just come on this show and just say whatever and just lay out whatever and give us orders, not on the Real Talk with Lavi. If we want to fight crime and violence in this place, it should not be political. I'm not saying it is political, but I have to let people know it must be included with every single body. And we must listen to the people. And we see here tonight, I've never seen people typing like this. They're sending all the information. So which means it's an interesting topic, and people like what is being said here, and we're excluding people, right? As the young man said, in the communities, invite influencers, and the influencers, whatever they want to put on their page, that's their business. It have nothing to do with what the Prime Minister is putting, because that will be their own perspectives. So we should not limit people. It's just like if you go to a function and somebody can go and with the analysis on their page. Nothing wrong with that. And if they do something that is violating, that's where the law come in. So I think that whoever is listening out there on this task force, this is Lavi and the Real Talk. It is time that you all take this thing, and it's bigger than you guys. You cannot control crime and violence and just feel like you can, for the 90 days, as someone said, what happened after? I mean, that is something where it's time, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I am tired of hearing a place of 98.9 literacy. There's so many people, the average person that born in the 90s now going college. This, give us some time, we're taking baby steps. That's nonsense. You cannot have a big position as a PS, all the big, what position you have? What's your name? What, you have a title to you?
Yeah, I'm just I'm giving the information to the public. I'm sensitizing the public about the public health because I'm the specialist.
Okay, so right. So when we have these kind of big topics to our name, and we're going to just say, well, give them time, they're taking baby steps. No, you should be on a certain level of leadership and intelligence to bring and pass on the knowledge and the information to the public.
Point. But again, Lavi, if I may, right?
And when I said you, Hans,
no, it's okay. I understand. But again, persons, because the topic is such an important topic, persons will are expected to feel a certain way. But I'm saying, if you go back, this is not COVID, even though they're both infectious disease, crime and violence and COVID, it is not something that you could go and try to fix one time. It takes time because you don't want a quick fix, because we have been doing a lot of quick fixes. So we need something over time. Someone
is saying, great topic, Lavi. It is 9:28. I appreciate you guys for coming on, engaging here with me. I truly appreciate it. We have in our studios our special guest. His name is Mr. Hans Richards. And he's here basically on behalf of the 90-day campaign on crime and violence. As you know, they're looking at it not just for the police, nor our law enforcement. It's a public health issue. Mr. Massive is very passionate, and this is the first time I'm seeing comments like this from Mr. Massive. And this will have been a passion to him because he also a community man. He have done a lot in St. Kitts and Nevis. And he's saying he has been ignored from day one. When they recognized, I was able to send home the guys with one phone one phone call the day when the so-called peace members went to protest at government headquarters, it was only 5 murders then. So this is something that I would not encourage you to have a say on top of it, because, I mean, he's just talking and sharing what he have done. So just to show you, what he's commenting here is something that this man, Mr. Clayton Massive, he basically know of these things. And it's not everybody, when it comes to crime and violence, can handle some of these people, because the things that they're implementing, but is to go and approach some of these people. Half of them never even would talk to some of these people in their lives. And this is why we got to be very careful as to who we're going to be bringing in the team to go out in the communities to channel all these things. Because what is happening now, this is not the hard workers yet in our hands. This is the easy part. Just go in and you show up and you give a speech. The other task now is to approach these individuals, and I don't mean you and I and whatever, persons who are in these positions. We got to be careful. It's like when you run in an army, law enforcement, the commander-in-chief, if his team don't accept him and don't feel comfortable with him, explain and tell me what result you can get.
Very little. Very little results.
Very little results, right? And that is why I have persons that was in gangs over and over. They come and make sure we're talking in person, not just here, but way back. I have been doing this. And I too have been ignored here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Lavern Gumbs and the Real Talk have been ignored. And when I said ignored, they take me for granted. Back in 1999, 2005, up until 2010, I had a talk show, and I would go down in McKnight and different areas where persons will talk certain things with me and not afraid to speak these things to me, right? And this is why when I listen to Massive, he's passionate about it, because there's a lot of other people, Mr. Glasgow the same way. People know the street, they've been there, they can relate to people. Just today, I went down to, what's the place? West Farm. I went down to West Farm to pick up 2 guys. And when I went to pick the 2 guys up, you think they look like me and you, Hans? One guy have his beards come down, and whether I comb or not with his little 3 locks. He ain't comb. But the love that they give to me, am I going to be looking at how they look? So you see the kind of people that we're dealing with. This is a different world. Ain't everybody out there have a clean cut. So we have to be careful, like I said. This is a great time as we continue the 90-day journey, right? We can't just be shutting up people like this and want to tell people when and when not to speak and what not to speak because it's so touchy. Because at the end of the day, when them bullet backing and them kind of things, they're more than touchy. Because when they touch you, you either make it or you don't, right? So I'm going to be looking forward, like I said, to have some improvement as the 90-day challenge go forward for persons who are involved in this and really want the crime and violence to be down, to listen to the people. And as time goes by, don't take people in the community for granted. It's not everybody in the community is a part of a group. The persons in the community can go on their own and doing things selfless. They're not going around showing the whole world that they're doing this by photo app. Sometimes I ain't got no money, I go on 4th Street. Lavi, give me $20 now. Sometimes I have the last $20. Am I going to give everybody that asks me? No. But there comes a point in time, is the one that you don't even expect to give. You have no choice but to give them. And there are also persons that are out there that are not looking at Lavi like, oh, she got it. They say, Lavi is a good person. Girl, if I win the lotto, I'll give you some money. They could have your place so you can open up and start to teach back people. And I have a problem with the 90-day challenge. I have a problem with this government that is in office, because we're looking at governments, and I'm saying it right now on the Real Talk. with persons like Lavi Gumbs and other persons that have the willpower, the experience, right? We are totally ignored when we can be a part of building St. Kitts and Nevis. We have been there, we have experience. We want opportunities just like you guys. We want opportunities. When we see persons after the bell ring, they get the big positions and they watch you like you ain't nobody. So with this crime and violence, it is more than just with implementing things. It's about treating the people of St. Kitts and Nevis with respect. Hence, I want to thank you for coming here. If you have any closing remarks, you can do
most
so.
definitely. In closing, I still want people to understand that it's a process. It's going to take its time. The time we have to take our time. It's a scientific approach, and science is not something that you can just jump into and get results. You need to take your time, get the proper data, the proper information, the proper approach, so that, because again, we want this to last a long time, not just tomorrow and then the crime and violence continue or get worse. So if you want those kind of results over a period of time, you need proper preparation and proper planning. So it was a pleasure, and conversations like these would be ongoing on different media platforms, and it's important that the community continue to share their views. And when there are community engagements, it's important that those persons who engage tonight and engage other communications, different social media, it's important that you show up and you give your point to the questions that would be asked and the questions that you need to ask. Once again, it was a pleasure, and to everyone, have a peaceful night.
It was nice having your hands. So I'm going to just continue in the meantime. If you want to exit yourself, you can. Yeah, you can exit.
The camera's still on?
Don't go. Okay. It's okay. Let me just finish here. All right, folks. Thank you so much. As you know, Lavi, I'm not a reporter, people. I have to work my way. I'm a very confident woman. I am self-made from the island of St. Kitts. If you're just listening on the YouTube, on social media, wherever you are, the aim of this show called Real Talk is to keep it real and to basically bring the issues, what the public wants to hear and what the public are facing. This is a non-political show. I don't know about you guys, but I feel that if I want to address something, we should not just want to have something, if it's for the opposition, to be boldly and confident about it. But if it's for the government, then we kind of shy away, because this is what's happening here in St. Kitts now, where people are scared to speak because, as they said, they're shutting you up. But I know if you're speaking, you're positive and you're speaking with respect. You're not here to bash anybody. This is what the show is about, right? I don't think that people should allow anyone to shut them up in this federation. Once again, I am lovely, lavish Lavi. Let me see before I go. Mr. Chiseled Glasgow, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this program tonight. And yeah, I truly appreciate it. And I got to let you guys know, with your contribution here on The Real Talk, if you want to sponsor the show basically have room for sponsorship. If you want to send Zelle, I would send my information online. However you can, to contribute to make sure that you can have this program. You know, you want to be able to have programs like this that can be open, honest, without any government affiliation. Government only get better if they are affiliated with, include we the people. And if we the people basically stand firm, and not just stand firm with an agenda, people, we must be able to want to make positive change and being a part of the change. And this is the honest way that, as natives people, sometimes I think I'm biased, but it's to all people in St. Kitts and Nevis, right? If St. Kitts rise, everyone rise. Whether you're residents, yes, whether you're visiting, or whether you're a native. But as I said, when it comes to our native people in St. Kitts and Nevis, we need not to take them for granted. And as many of you guys said, include the influencers. We speak about social media. If you want it to be reach out to the ordinary people or to persons that we cannot reach just like that, get the influencers involved. Crime and violence is a public issue. One person cannot do it. Together we can. And this is how I'm going to say good evening. This is the Real Talk with Lavi. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening.